Honourable Chair, imagine a province with no more potholes, a province where roads don't deteriorate only months after they were built, a province where people are connected to places and opportunities by a reliable roads network that is cost-effective and sustainable. Imagine a province with no more plastic waste pollution and a country with no more plastic waste in our oceans. Imagine a province where thousands of jobs are created by recycling waste plastic as a replacement for bitumen in public roads. The Eastern Cape could be the very first province in South Africa to launch a plastic road pilot project. This motion to investigate the feasibility of rolling out a pilot project for the implementation of plastic roads in the province can be groundbreaking. The idea of plastic roads were first conceived by looking at the problems of municipality, provinces and countries in dealing with roads issues. These included deterioration, high costs and also societal problems like plastic waste and an increased need for mobility. The solution to these problems could be to replace bitumen with waste plastic. But what does it mean to build a road using plastic? Honourable Chair, there are over 40 million kilometres of road in the world made from hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil. Normally, roads comprise of a mix of rock, sand, limestone and 10% bitumen to bind everything together. Bitumen is extracted from crude oil. Waste plastic can replace a significant part of bitumen. Now, waste plastic includes normal household plastic as well as commercial waste plastic, most of which end up in landfills at the moment or even in our oceans. Doing this makes construction and maintenance faster, simpler and more efficient compared to your conventional road structures, and it will result in a significantly lower carbon footprint. The expected lifespan of a plastic road is 3 times that of a conventional road. The expected construction time is 70% less. The construction cost can be cut up to 50%. It is environmentally friendly, it's sustainable, it requires little to no maintenance. Material is virtually impervious to conditions such as severe weather, water, heat. In fact, a company in the Netherlands has found that these plastic roads will be able to sustain temperatures of -40 degrees and up to 80 degrees Celsius. Plastic roads use the equivalent of 1 million plastic bags per kilometre, which means that it can cut costs up to 8% less than a conventional road. These roads are currently being implemented in places like Rotterdam, India, and even in Great Britain. In fact, 21,000 miles of plastic roads are already in India, in the rural areas. These roads have not shown any signs of cracks, potholes, or edge breaks. Honourable Speaker, Honourable Chair, the benefits of implementing this initiative can be looked at basically under 4 main benefits, can be categorized like that. The first one would be job creation. Honourable Chair, at the moment, unemployment in South Africa is nearing 25%. Under the expanded definition of unemployment, which is people that have stopped looking for work, we are looking at 32 to 35%, and it is estimated that about 50% of our youth is unemployed. Now, plastic bitumen composite roads increases the reuse of plastic. As for the Department of Roads and Public Works specifically, jobs can be created through the expanded Public Works program for sorting of waste plastic to be used for roads construction. This is a fantastic opportunity for SMMEs, for entrepreneurs, for first-time job seekers, and for startups. These roads are made from recycled plastics, and the first step in constructing them is to collect and manage plastic waste. Materials are first sorted. After sorting, material is cleaned, dried and shredded. The shredded plastic is then mixed and melted. This is clearly a very labour-intensive initiative. The second benefit would be to address the waste plastic epidemic we are experiencing. This initiative will be an incentive for people to rather recycle plastic, and it will be a massive leap forward in preventing plastic from ending up in our landfills and in our oceans. The third benefit would be that it is environmentally sustainable. Using less bitumen saves on resources because bitumen requires petroleum. And as we all know, petroleum is becoming a very scarce resource, and it's becoming a very, very expensive resource. Plastic bitumen composite roads have better wear resistance than standard asphalt roads. They do not absorb water, have better flexibility, they remain smooth, they are lower in maintenance, they absorb sound better, and using recycled post-consumer plastic is cheaper than using bitumen. The use of plastic in roads construction further reduces the amount of bitumen. This is beneficial to the environment since bitumen is responsible for a large amount of global carbon emissions. The addition of plastic in asphalt can reduce the viscosity of this mix. This allows lower working temperature, which means that lower CO2 emissions will be a result. And the Eastern Cape must be seen as taking positive steps towards saving the environment. The fourth benefit, Honourable Chair, is addressing the backlog. The current backlog of roads maintenance in the Eastern Cape is at over 100 billion rand and growing every day. Roads are deteriorating faster than they can be maintained, and rural communities remain cut off from schools, hospitals, and economic opportunities. The Department of Public Works has also recently been subject to a new legal precedent due to the fact that the department was taken to court by Agri-EC for the failure to maintain farm roads. Honourable Chair, I do believe that this is an initiative that is possibly the only way to address the massive backlog we have on roads in the Eastern Cape. And I think we must be honest with ourselves that there is no other plan to address the backlog on roads. The last benefit, the fifth benefit, is that the concept offers other opportunities for further innovation, such as using these road surfaces for solar heating, for energy and electricity solutions. So this innovation is just the beginning, and it will really open a lot of other doors for other innovations and other initiatives. Honourable Chair, it's also important to look at our economy at the moment and the state of our infrastructure. South Africa faces a situation currently of negative growth on the back of a 7-year period of very low growth, ending 2016 with economic growth of only 0.3%. Now, according to the World Bank, the reason for South Africa's poor economic performance can be attributed to a number of key development issues, like poverty, policy uncertainty, inequality, but most importantly, poor infrastructure. The poor state of South Africa's economy can therefore largely be attributed to the persistent and significant infrastructure constraints. These include, obviously, poor and deteriorating roads networks. This lack of capacity has proved to be hugely detrimental to the economy. The issue in terms of poor infrastructure seems to manifest itself in the cost of production, which keeps on driving costs higher and higher. This in turn contributes to a loss of international competitiveness and restricts private investment. One might remember when Malusi Gigaba was the Minister of Public Enterprises in 2013. He said that a lack of infrastructure is negatively affecting trade. And I want to quote what he said. "The world is eager to do business with Africa, but finds it difficult to access African markets, especially in the interior, due to poor infrastructure. Greater economic activity, enhanced efficiency, and increased competitiveness are hampered by inadequate transport infrastructure." He further said that while inadequate infrastructure could be the biggest threat to Africa's long-term growth, it is also represented a significant opportunity for investment. The South African Reserve Bank has estimated that with South Africa's current economic infrastructure, as it is, our growth would be capped at a maximum of 3.5%. Now, even with our growth at 0.3% as it is, even if it grows to 3.5%, that growth would still be inefficient to address unemployment, poverty, and inequality. It is assumed, Honourable Chair, that if investment in infrastructure is high, economic growth will be high. In recent research, it was found that South Africa is spending a large amount of money on infrastructure. However, we are not seeing the resultant economic growth. Now, the reason for this seems to be, firstly, the historical backlog of infrastructure. Secondly, something that is called the urbanization of poverty. And thirdly, the condition of existing infrastructure. At this point, it must be acknowledged that South Africa has made major strides in terms of basic infrastructure provision since the country became a democracy in 1994. It must, however, be understood that post-apartheid South Africa was left with a legacy of poor service delivery and poor infrastructure that must now be addressed. In focusing on this phenomenon called the urbanization, or the poverty of urbanization, it basically means that people have flocked to the city areas for economic opportunities and for jobs too quickly for those areas to sustain the growth, which means that government had to accommodate that impact and had to cater for significantly more households than it planned to do. Resolving this dilemma created by the historical backlogs and the poor condition of existing infrastructure is a sensitive balancing act because of limited resources. It will be necessary to improve the capacity to develop integrated infrastructure plans over the medium and over the long term. Honourable Chair, maintenance and efficient use of existing infrastructure must become a priority, and a balance must be struck in terms of maintaining existing infrastructure and building new infrastructure. It would appear from the above that infrastructure will be able to be adequately funded and feasible only when South Africa has achieved increased and competitive economic growth, which means that other ways needs to be found to grow the economy. This basically means that we need to find another focus point, except for investing only in infrastructure, in basic infrastructure to grow the economy. We need to find other innovative ways, like the initiative of plastic roads to grow the economy. Honourable Chair, the fact remains that there are 77,000 kilometres of provincial roads in this province, of which 60,000 kilometres are in the rural areas. The Eastern Cape is further notorious for being the province where cost of roads per kilometre is the highest, ranging from around 10 to 20 million rand per kilometre for converting a gravel road into a tar road, and 500,000 rand per kilometre for upgrading a gravel road. The implementation of innovative solutions such as plastic roads could be our saving grace when it comes to the backlogs, the deterioration of our roads network, and solutions for rural roads networks in this province. The implementation of plastic roads therefore addresses four major issues. Firstly, the poor quality of our roads, including the over 100 billion rand backlog. Number two, the lack of rural roads, especially roads to schools and hospitals. Number three, unemployment. And lastly, the waste plastic epidemic. The Democratic Alliance believes that the time has come to think outside the box and attempt more innovative solutions to modern day problems. We believe that the Eastern Cape must be on the forefront of this innovation. The call for new innovative ideas to solve issues such as the 100 billion rand backlog on roads, the fast deteriorating roads network, and solutions to rural road networks, the war on waste and job creation can be answered. Honourable Chair, let's be a province where we are making headlines for the right reasons. Let's be a province where we invite and implement innovation. Let's be a province of new opportunities, of pioneering solution-driven initiatives. Let us be innovative, let us be game changers, let us be on the forefront of progress. Let us not say that we can't, let us say we can. Honourable Chair, I hereby move that this House resolves that the Department of Roads and Public Works investigates this initiative of plastic roads for implementation in the Eastern Cape and reports back to the House in terms of whether this initiative will be implementable in the Eastern Cape, the cost of 1 kilometre of plastic road versus the cost of 1 kilometre of conventional road, and the time frame involved in launching a pilot project to test the practicability of plastic roads in the province. I so move.